How do you start the Robinson curriculum from the very beginning when it comes to writing? So you have a 5-year-old, you've taught them how to read, you're teaching them how to read. How do you get started with the writing component of the Robinson curriculum? I'm going to talk about it in this video, so stay tuned. Hi there, welcome back to our channel called Our House, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you'd like to go from questions to confidence when it comes to the Robinson curriculum, I'm here to answer questions. And today we're going to answer the question, how do you get your child started when it comes to writing? So if you're not familiar with RC, how it works basically is they do a math lesson a day or 2 hours of math a day. Then they write a daily essay that you give feedback on, you correct, and you give it back to them to fix their errors. And also 2 hours of reading from the RC reading list. So a lot of parents might feel overwhelmed. Wow, how do I get my child to write an essay a day? We're talking front and back, double spaced, or however you want to consider it. But how do you get your child to that point? Obviously, a 5-year-old isn't going to start writing these long daily essays. So I'm going to talk to you about the progression, how to get started step by step. Now, key point number 1 is that as you're teaching your child to read, also teach them how to write. You want the two to be integrated together. Now, there are many ways to do this. There's lots of programs out there. Whatever method you choose to teach your child how to read, you can incorporate some writing. For example, there is a book that I like, Teaching Your Child How to Read with 20 Lessons. There's writing involved there. They're writing words that they're learning. In the book, How to Teach Your Child in 100 Easy Lessons, there's a writing part to end each lesson. I've also created a resource to go along with the free Robinson curriculum phonics flashcards. And in there is also a lot of writing. They're writing from the very first lesson when they're learning the ah sound. So just make sure that you incorporate the two. That's really going to help them with their spelling down the road. Now, aside from whatever writing they're doing with their phonics program, I also recommend you get them started on copy work or penmanship. Now, the Robinson curriculum has included online, it's number 400 and down, and then you can find it on the CDs as well, these penmanship practice pages, and they have manuscript and they have cursive and even numbers. So you can just give them a sheet of a paper like this, give them one of these so that they can practice. I am also a big fan of pen time writing books. These are very affordable. They love them. They start at 1 manuscript all the way to, like you see here, 5 cursive. And they're just little quick, nice copy work. It's just very simple and something that they can do independently. So I favor those. Another popular one is Handwriting Without Tears, and I don't recommend doing the whole program and getting the teacher's thing or anything like that. You could just give the child the actual notebooks, the penmanship part, and they can do that independently. So after you do your phonics lesson and whatever writing was incorporated with that lesson, then you can have them start with writing, penmanship. Now remember that the goal of this program is to have them writing their own material, their own thoughts, and a daily essay. And so you're gonna have to get them to kind of graduate from these copybooks and these pen time writing notebooks or just penmanship to starting to put their thoughts down on paper. And that's probably the part that might feel a little bit daunting to parents. So I recommend just from the very beginning, maybe 5, 6 years old, 7, just starting out with these from the dollar store. Now this is very inexpensive. It's just $1 from the dollar store, and you can have them start to write their own material on something like this. You can first start with them just copy the alphabet. Unlike a penmanship book or a copybook, there's no instructions now. They're going to be writing on their own. But you can just start with telling them, write the alphabet here. And then you want them to just do copy work, but they're copying on paper. And this is great for right in the very beginning, but you can use regular size paper too. Find some great material that they can just copy. I also am a fan of the resource Draw Right Now, and that's really fun. If you have a child that's kind of struggling with the writing, they don't seem very excited about it, that would be a great thing to incorporate because they're drawing a picture, they're learning something, and they're writing down something that is already there in place for them. So Draw Right Now, that's a great resource, or just copy. For some of my favorite copywork resources are the McGuffey primers. These are great little stories, great short stories. They have great morals in them. And as you can see, the stories are just the perfect length for a child that's just starting to write on their own, to do their own copywork, not just in a penmanship book. So this is my favorite as far as copy. Now, the next step after you are pleased with their penmanship, they're doing really well as far as the writing and able to copy a page without any problems, then you can move on to them writing their own original thoughts and really just anything that they want to write about. Write about what your day was like, or what's the favorite part of your day, what's your favorite food. Just having them be comfortable enough to write something on a sheet of paper. It could just be a couple sentences at first and then work your way up to a paragraph. You want to sort of wean them off the copywork. I'm not saying they're never going to do copywork again, because there are many days where they just don't know what to write about, and maybe that's what they're going to do, copywork, or they're having some challenges. But the end goal is writing an essay every day, not copywork. So you kind of want to lead them into that. So after they are comfortable with writing a paragraph on their own, then maybe half a page. And then after half a page, you want to get to just maybe the front of a page. Maybe even that's just double spaced. Then you're getting to front and back, a double space. And so you're just gently progressing to that level of an essay a day. Now, of course, part of that process is you giving them feedback. And you want to be very careful here not to just really discourage a child. They put all this effort and thought into writing something, and then you just correct it all and hand it back with all the red all over it. And this is something that I learned from the Dr. Fred Ray Librand writing course, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a minute, that, give positive reinforcement as well as the negative. So yes, correct the mistakes or circle things that they need to look up, or you want them to look up in the dictionary. This is when they're a little bit older. Whatever feedback you want to give them, capitals, periods, but also use a green marker to give good feedback. To say, hey, I like this. This was really great. I noticed that you really tried sounding out words, or I noticed that you read it to yourself first, to catch those mistakes first before handing it in for correction. So make sure you give positive feedback as well as the negative feedback. And as you go through this process together, you will see what words they frequently tend to misspell and other patterns. And so that's why I created this product, which is the essay writing book. And inside is a place where they can write their frequently misspelled words. There's a list of common frequently misspelled words, but then you can also personalize it and say, hey, you always spell that one wrong, put it on your list. And so this kind of becomes like a little cheat sheet for them when they're writing, to go back and say, okay, I know, how do I spell that word? I know I've spelled it wrong before. And so that saves a lot of time and trouble. Some of the other reasons why I designed it this specific way is because it's spiral bound, so it's easy to, just fold up in small spaces, and it's nice to have it contained all in one place. And I love, these are some of my favorite things to keep. I throw everything away. I am the opposite of a pack rat. I try to get rid of as much of stuff as possible and throw stuff away. But this makes it really easy for me to keep the essays because they are special. There's a lot that is conveyed through these daily essays, something emotional, something going on that maybe that child wouldn't feel very comfortable just coming out and telling me. It's a noisy household with 8 people. So being able to read what's going on and then being able to talk about it. Like I said, some of these are really funny and some of these just really show what's going on in their heart. And I love that. I love this component of RC. So this makes it really easy for me to want to keep. It's not just 100 of loose papers. I can't stand loose papers. So if you'd like to check this out, I will put a link to that below. But this is created by an RC mom with all those things in mind. If you're a little OCD, if you like to keep things neat, if you like spiral bound, then check this out. All right, so recapping, you start off with teaching them how to read. Make sure you do a little writing as you teach them how to read. Then work on copy work, penmanship. Then after that, start off with a couple of sentences on their own, a paragraph on their own, half a page and a half, page front and back, double-spaced essay. You correct, you hand it back to them, and they rewrite it that same day. So then they can start fresh the next day with another essay. Don't underestimate this component. It is so important. A lot of kids today are going to colleges and they cannot write. All right, now in the second part of the video, I want to answer kind of some of the frequently asked questions and recommend some resources, some RC and some outside of RC, to go with the writing component. So a lot of people ask, what about spelling? What about grammar? The Robinson curriculum has included Professor K grammar and spelling, and I will put a link to those videos as well. This grammar program is actually 2-in-1. There is a primer for the younger students and then a more advanced one, probably for late middle school to early high school years, where they're diagramming sentences and all that kind of stuff. Old-fashioned grammar. Professor K spelling method, which is basically a huge list of word families. And so you can just have them do it on their own, or you write down one word family a day that they need to work on. And so that can help improve spelling. But I have noticed that just generally, the more they read, especially the RC book list, is great quality literature, and practicing writing every single day and correcting their mistakes, naturally spelling does improve. I noticed that a challenge, I think, for some parents and students is that they just don't know what to write about every day. Everyday writing, they might get stuck and frustrated. I don't know what to write about today. And then the parent is looking around for ideas or resources online. So I do want to share some resources for that. These are some of my favorite books. Q&A a day for kids. So it's 3 years, 365 questions. So for example, whom are you worried about? Why? Which do you like better, math or reading? Who's your best friend? If I had a magic eraser, I would erase. What did someone tell you that wasn't true? So just little writing prompts for kids, so you don't have to worry about any inappropriate questions there. So you can just give them something like this to work on. That usually helps when one of my kids is stuck. Now for the younger ages, when they're just starting out, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9, I do really like this Primary Language Lessons by Emma Searle. This is a classic. You can probably find this on Project Gutenberg. And I like to assign some of the lessons, not all of them. But for example, lesson 92 is go, went, gone. I go to school every day. I went to the country last summer. And so it gives them a little lesson. What word is used before gone? And then they have here, copy these sentences and fill in the blank with go, went, or gone. So they have to, know, number one, we blank to school 5 days in the week. Is it we go to school, or we went to school, or we gone to school? So this just, I think, really helps children with those early language lessons, early grammar. There's also things on capitalization, how to address someone in a letter. Super inexpensive. You can even probably find this for free. Now, if you are not really a fan of the Professor K grammar book, maybe you've looked it over and you thought, I don't know, it's kind of not for us, then I do have one other resource that I'd like to recommend to you, something that my girls really enjoy, and that's Everything You Need to Ace English Language Arts in One Big Fat Notebook. This is the complete middle school study guide, and this is a very engaging, fun format, teaching you all the same grammar stuff, but in just a little bit more modern, easier to digest, easier to keep them interested way. This is from the brains behind Brain Quest, if you're interested. So great resource right here. Now, if you have a child who's maybe struggling with more creative writing, this is a great resource. It's called Brave the Page. I found this at the library, The Young Writer's Guide to Telling Epic Stories. And I actually liked it so much that I bought my own copy, and my girls also like reading through it. And it has great little fun assignments at the end, very easy to do, but this is from NaNoWriMo. Now, if you consider yourself to be a little bit more of a homeschooling nerd and you really like to go deep into the subjects and really educate yourself so you can help your children, then I'm gonna recommend this resource, which is called the Writing Strategies book. This is by Jennifer Saravallo, and she also has another book that I love in the same style, called the Reading Strategies book. So this is the one for writing, your everything guide to developing skilled writers. And how it's broken down is into sections of different goals. This is starting out with kids just learning how to write all the way to high schoolers. And for each goal, there is probably anywhere from 18 to 35 writing strategies, and each writing strategy goes through a goal, maybe some writing prompts or prompts that you tell your children, and a visual, maybe a little bit more information. This is a one-stop shop guide right here. And I will make sure to list all of these resources in the description below. Now, last but not least, I do want to touch on the writing course from Dr. Fred Ray Librand. He used kind of the Robinson curriculum also with his 5 children and developed this writing course, and the two really go well together. A lot of RC families have used the product. It's not like your average writing program focusing on style and rules and spelling and grammar or anything like that. It's focusing on removing the fear and the dread out of writing, having your child excited. I remember when my daughter first went through the program, she went from really dreading writing to, actually both my daughters went through this. They really go from dreading that part of the day, that assignment, to really excited about it and writing chapter stories. Writing is not something that just some people are really good at and others are not. It is a skill like everything else, and the more you work on it, the better you're going to be. Now, this is really important. I don't want to overwhelm any parent homeschooling out there, especially if you're doing the Robinson curriculum. A lot of people chose it for the simplicity, and so I want to encourage you, before you add anything else, any other resource, just do the program as is. Just have them write every day. As long as they are writing every single day and you are providing feedback and they are correcting those mistakes, they will improve. They will progress. It's going to be okay. If you are keeping it basic and you find yourself to be very frustrated, first of all, you can call the Robinson Curriculum hotline. There's a 60-second zero frustration policy. If at any time you feel frustrated, call them. Someone will answer. But if you're feeling frustrated, then maybe you want to incorporate 1 or 2 of these resources and see if that does the trick. I would just hate for a parent to maybe quit or give up on RC because of a little component like this, the writing. They felt like their child just couldn't do it. They just couldn't write an essay a day, or they felt they were not equipped enough to provide the proper feedback. So instead of just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, maybe you could try a couple of these little resources and see if that does the trick. There's also an introduction here in my resource on just a basic guide to essay writing, going step by step. So it might just be a simple fix like that that can really make a difference in your homeschooling. All right, everybody, if you have any questions at all, please comment them below, and I will also link all of these things in the description. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out those cards for videos on Professor K and more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video.